Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am. Morning, ma'am.
We have completed the chapter organisms and populations, and one more chapter is there under the unit ecology, but we will not be learning that chapter now because as per CBSE syllabus, they have split the syllabus into two, like first term and second term. So we have one more chapter to complete in the first term. So we'll be continuing with that. So I think by November only we need to complete, but still this chapter takes time. And as I have already told you, this is a little difficult to understand. But it's not impossible to understand. You will definitely understand. The only thing is that this topic is completely new for you. You haven't learned much about the genetic material or biotechnology or genetics, principles of inheritance and variation. The chapter you have learned, but this is entirely different, more about DNA, RNA and all. Take a little more interest in your studies, learn your daily lessons. As soon as I complete some topics, like on a daily basis, so whenever we have class, we are completing some topics, make it a habit to learn it the very same day, and the next day if you have any doubts, or on the same day you can message me if you have any doubts. Because if you keep it for the next day's portions also you will not understand. It's not like other chapters. Other chapters, if you take some sincere effort to certain extent, you can understand the concepts. This also you might be able to understand, but to make things easy, to facilitate better understanding and easy learning. So please don't be absent in the class, and any doubts feel free to ask. So we'll begin with the chapter, Michael. Michael, shall we begin? If you have finished enjoying the scenery, we'll just start with the chapter. The new topic that we are going to learn is about molecular basis of inheritance. It's a bit lengthy chapter. So many important concepts are dealt with in this particular chapter. And from class 8, I think you had been learning about the genetic material. Which is the genetic material in our body. You know that in each and every cell, we have nucleus, and inside the nucleus we have the genetic material. And which structures, so name those structures which help in the transmission of hereditary characters from parents to offsprings. Which are those structures?
Chromosomes.
Chromosomes. And what are chromosomes made up of? What are chromosomes made up of? Yes?
DNA.
And DNA and proteins. Chromosomes are made up of DNA and proteins. What is the connection between DNA and gene? You have heard about genes. Well, how are they related? DNA and genes. Sifi.
DNA is a part of the genes.
DNA is a part of the gene, or gene is a part of DNA?
Gene is a part of DNA.
Gene is the functional segment. A functional segment of DNA is known as gene, a portion of DNA. You know that DNA, you might have seen pictures or models of DNA. It's having a double helical structure, and a portion of DNA, a functional segment of DNA is known as gene. And you know that each gene or each pair of genes is concerned with a particular function in our body. In 10th standard, very briefly, you have learned about all those. So let's learn about the genetic material in detail. Molecular basis of inheritance. Chapter 6, molecular basis of inheritance. So we are going to learn about the molecular basis for inheritance of characters. You know that the different characters, the parental characters are being inherited by the offspring. So we are going to learn about the molecular basis for this inheritance. So here you can see the picture of DNA, a double helical structure. It resembles a spirally twisted ladder or a staircase. Spirally twisted staircases you might have seen maybe in malls, or somewhere you might have seen, even maybe some in certain houses also you might see such spirally twisted staircases. So DNA just resembles a spirally twisted staircase. Nucleic acids, the two nucleic acids are DNA and RNA. They are the building blocks of genetic material. They make up the genetic material in living organisms. DNA and RNA. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA. What is RNA? Children? DNA is a genetic material in majority of the organisms. Ribonucleic acid is RNA. I was expecting the answer from you. Deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid. The only difference between them is the sugar present. In DNA, it is deoxyribose, and in RNA, it is ribose sugar. So the sugar makes the difference. DNA is a genetic material in most of the organisms. And in certain viruses, you can find RNA as the genetic material. RNA mostly functions as a messenger. So details of that you will be learning in this chapter. They act as messengers. Once again, DNA and RNA. These two nucleic acids, deoxyribonucleic acid and ribonucleic acid, are the building blocks of genetic material. So genetic material comprises of DNA and RNA in living organisms. DNA is the most common, or in majority of the organisms you can find DNA as a genetic material, whereas RNA can also be found, especially in certain viruses. And RNA mostly functions as messengers. Details of that we'll be learning. Now, polynucleotide. Now we are going to learn about the structure of polynucleotide chain. So DNA and RNA, they are polynucleotide chains. They consist of nucleotides. So polynucleotides means several nucleotides are joined together. Monomer units combine together and form a polymer. So same way, several nucleotides will join together and they form a polynucleotide. So these nucleic acids are polynucleotides. They are the polymer of nucleotides. So when several nucleotides combine together, they form polynucleotide. The DNA and RNA both are polynucleotides. Now let's see what is meant by a nucleotide. Now we learned DNA and RNA are the building blocks of genetic material. In majority of the living organisms, DNA forms a genetic material, whereas in certain viruses, RNA forms a genetic material. And both RNA and DNA, they are polynucleotides formed by the combination of several nucleotides. So you can say they are the polymers of nucleotides. Now you should know what is meant by a nucleotide. What are the three main components present in a nucleotide? A nitrogenous base, a nitrogen base, a pentose sugar, a 5-carbon sugar. This pentose sugar can be ribose in RNA, deoxyribose in DNA. So the presence of these sugars make them different. So the sugar present in them are different. But whatever it is, they have a 5-carbon sugar. Michael, what is disturbing you, child? What happened? Your window is nearby? On your right side, is there any window? Michael, answer me. Unmute and answer me.
Yes, ma'am.
What is happening outside? Somebody is standing there?
No.
What is distracting you? I should know. Because this is the second time I'm noticing you observing something through the window. Don't repeat it, okay, Michael? Don't embarrass yourself as well as me. Then a phosphate group. A phosphate group, a nitrogenous base, and what else I said? Nitrogenous base. A nitrogenous base, a pentose sugar, and a phosphate group. So when these three combine together, you call it as a nucleotide. So several such nucleotides are joined together to form these nucleic acids. Once again, a pentose sugar, that is a 5-carbon sugar, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. These are the three components that make up a nucleotide. NPP, a pentose sugar, phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base. Shall I proceed? No doubts, no? The previous slide, doubts, no? Okay. Now, nitrogen bases, we can categorize them into two. We learned DNA and RNA are polynucleotides or polymer of nucleotides. And we also understood what are the different components present in a nucleotide. A nitrogen base, a pentose sugar, and a phosphate group. So those nitrogen bases can be of two types. You can categorize them into two. Two broad categories are there, purines and pyrimidines. So pyrimidines and purines are the two categories of nitrogen bases. And purines include adenine, guanine. Guanine and adenine, they come under purines, and under pyrimidines, cytosine, thymine, and uracil. Once again, adenine, guanine, you should be familiar. You should be thorough with these names. You should know which among these are pyrimidines and which all are purines that you should know, because the pairing between these nitrogenous bases play a very significant role in the formation of nucleic acids. So broadly, you can categorize the nitrogen bases into two, purines and pyrimidines. Purines include adenine, guanine. Adenine and guanine, whereas cytosine, thymine, and uracil are included under pyrimidines. Okay, I know these names are not familiar. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and uracil. Uracil, thymine, cytosine, guanine, and adenine. Uracil is absent in DNA but present in RNA. Another very important point which makes our DNA and RNA different. One difference is the type of sugar present in them. DNA is having deoxyribose sugar, RNA is having ribose sugar. Apart from that, another major difference between these two are uracil. This nitrogen base is absent in DNA, but it is present in RNA. Instead of uracil, thymine is present in. Instead of uracil, thymine is present in DNA. Clear? Uracil is found in RNA and thymine is present in DNA. Rest of the nitrogen bases are common for both. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, three are common. Just a minute. Okay. Adenine, guanine, cytosine. These three are common for DNA and RNA. These nitrogenous bases are found both in RNA and DNA. The difference is only with the remaining nitrogenous bases. So we have two more. Uracil, both of them are pyrimidines. Cytosine is also an example for pyrimidine. These two are purines and these three are uracil and thymine. Thymine, uracil and cytosine are pyrimidines. And uracil is found only in RNA. Thymine. So wherever thymine are present, instead of thymine, uracil will be present in RNA. And instead of uracil, thymine is present in DNA. So this is very important, the complementary base pairing. So between these nitrogenous bases, complementary pairing is taking place. So it is very important to know, it's a very important concept. It can be included under application level questions and all. The pairing, you should be thorough, which are the nitrogenous bases present in DNA and RNA. Adenine, guanine, cytosine, they are present both in DNA and RNA, whereas uracil is present only in RNA and not in DNA. On the other hand, thymine is present only in DNA and not in RNA. Clear? Is it clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So somehow you make some code DTRU or RUDT. Somehow you make some mnemonic or code so that you will not forget. Once again, we'll see quickly all the points that we covered. And I want you to be thorough with all the concepts taught. And I'm not going in a hurry also. Any doubt you can ask me to pose in between and explain. So we started with this nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. These are the building blocks of genetic material, and commonly found genetic material is DNA, whereas RNA is also found as a genetic material in certain viruses. RNA functions as a messenger. Details we will learn. Then we learned about the structure of DNA, common DNA and RNA, the structure of polynucleotide chain. We named it as polynucleotide because both DNA and RNA are polynucleotides. As the name suggests, they are polymers of nucleotides. Several nucleotides are joined together to form a polynucleotide. And a polynucleotide, as I told you, it is having the individual units or the separate units which join together are nucleotides. So each nucleotide will have 3 main parts: a nitrogenous base, a pentose sugar, and a phosphate group. Then we learned the categorization of nitrogen bases. You can broadly categorize them into pyrimidines and purines. And purines are of 2 types, adenine and guanine, whereas pyrimidines are of 3 types, cytosine, thymine, and uracil. Okay, and another important point that we learned about these nitrogen bases is that adenine, guanine, cytosine found both in DNA and RNA, whereas thymine is found only in DNA, not in RNA. Uracil is found only in RNA, not in DNA. Okay, these were the points that we discussed. Then, Erwin Chargaff's rule. In DNA, he stated that in DNA, the proportion of A is equal to T. That is, proportion of adenine is equal to thymine, and the proportion of guanine is equal to cytosine. And another important point that you should know is that the pairing between the nitrogenous bases is complementary. Complementary base pairing takes place. That means A, T, C, G. The pairing always takes place in this form. Adenine always pairs with thymine. Cytosine can pair only with guanine. Vice versa also. TA or GC. Okay. Only between these nitrogenous bases pairing will take place. If it is in the case of RNA, instead of thymine, it will be uracil. Only that is a difference. So they exhibit complementary base pairing. Adenine will pair only with thymine and cytosine will pair only with guanine. And hence you can say that the proportion of adenine is equal to thymine and the proportion of guanine is equal to cytosine. A plus G is equal to T plus C. A and G, see, A plus G is equal to T plus C. T and C are pyrimidines. A and G are purines. A and G are purines and T and C are pyrimidines. So the proportion of purines is equal to the proportion of pyrimidines. A plus G is equal to T plus C. And since complementary base pairing is there between these nitrogenous bases, the proportion of A will be equal to thymine, because wherever A is there, thymine should be there, because the pairing is taking place only between A and T, C and G. So he stated that in DNA, the proportion of A, that is adenine, proportion of adenine is equal to thymine, and the proportion of guanine is equal to cytosine. So you can say A plus G is equal to T plus C. A and G both are purines and T and C are pyrimidines. That is Erwin Chargaff's rule. Shall I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So before I proceed, tell me what is meant by a polynucleotide. Nevin, what do you mean by a polynucleotide? Such a simple question.
Polymers of
It's a
there's a polymers of nucleotide.
they
The
are
polymers of nucleotide.
okay. Polynucleotide means a polymer of nucleotides. And what are the different components present in a nucleotide, Sharon?
DNA and RNA.
Nucleotide. Different parts. It comprises of a nucleotide consists of three parts.
Nitrogenous base,
Ah,
pentose sugar, and a phosphate group.
phosphate group. A phosphate group, a pentose sugar, and a nitrogenous base. What are the two types of nitrogenous bases, Michael?
Purines and pyrimidines.
Purines and pyrimidines. Mehak, what are the examples for purines?
Adenine and guanine.
And pyrimidines, Punya?
Cytosine, thymine, and uracil.
Okay. Now, what is meant by or state Erwin Chargaff's rule? Nandana?
In DNA, the proportion of A is equal to T and that of C is equal to G.
Okay. So, we'll continue. No doubts, no? As of now, no doubts. Now, a nitrogenous base is linked to pentose sugar. You know that in each nucleotide, there will be a nitrogenous base, then there will be a pentose sugar and a phosphate group. And the nitrogenous base is linked to pentose sugar by means of N-glycosidic linkage or bond. N stands for nitrogen. A nitrogenous base is linked to pentose sugar with the help of a N-glycosidic bond or N-glycosidic linkage. So this bond will connect the nitrogen present in the nitrogenous base to the carbon present in the pentose sugar. So the position of the carbon atom and all you need not learn. Actually, it is the 9 prime, showing the position of the functional group of the carbon. So 9th nitrogen of the purine or pyrimidine bases, the first nitrogen of the pyrimidine base and to the first carbon of the pentose sugar. Details, as I said, you don't have to learn. I'll repeat. This bond will connect the nitrogen of nitrogen present in purine or pyrimidine to that of the carbon. I think that is, we'll keep it simple. You don't have to get confused. N-glycosidic linkage, it is meant for connecting, or it will link the nitrogen present in the nitrogen base to the carbon atom or the carbon present in pentose sugar. The position of the nitrogen and carbon atom can be confusing. So we'll skip that. Okay. It's not mentioned in your textbook, but you don't have to learn that. Nitrogenous base plus pentose sugar is nucleoside. We learned about nucleotide. Now let's see what is meant by a nucleoside. Here it is S, nucleotide it was T. nitrogen base and pentose sugar. So here what is missing, children? Here what is missing?
Phosphate group.
Phosphate group. So excluding the phosphate group, the remaining part, that is nitrogenous base and pentose sugar, will together form nucleoside. Nucleoside plus pentose sugar will give you nucleotide. According to the nature of pentose sugar, two types of nucleosides are formed, ribonucleosides and deoxyribonucleosides. So I'll repeat again. N-glycosidic linkage connects the nitrogenous base or the nitrogen present in nitrogenous base to the carbon of the pentose sugar. And a nitrogenous base and the pentose sugar will form a nucleoside. Nucleoside becomes nucleotide only when it combines with a phosphate group. If phosphate group is missing, only nitrogenous base and pentose sugar are present, you call it as nucleoside. And you know that the pentose sugar can be of two types. In RNA, it is ribose sugar, and in DNA, it is deoxyribose sugar. So depending upon the sugar present, you can categorize the nucleosides formed into two types: ribonucleosides and deoxyribonucleosides. Ribonucleosides are formed in RNA, deoxyribonucleosides in DNA. So these are adenosine, deoxyadenosine, guanosine, deoxyguanosine. All these are examples for nucleosides. Adenosine in which one? RNA. Deoxyadenosine in DNA. Guanosine again in RNA. Deoxyguanosine in DNA. Cytidine in RNA. Deoxycytidine in DNA. Uridine and deoxythymidine. Uridine changed to thymidine because in DNA uracil is absent. So we call it as deoxythymidine. So these are the different nucleosides formed. Once again, we were discussing about nucleoside. The difference between nucleotide and nucleoside is that in nucleotide, three components are present: a pentose sugar, a nitrogenous base, and a phosphate group. But nucleoside includes only the nitrogenous base and pentose sugar. Apart from the phosphate group, the other two components of nucleotide will form a nucleoside. And according to the type of, depending upon the sugar present, you know, deoxyribose sugar and ribose sugar are the two types of sugars present in nucleic acid. DNA is having deoxyribose sugar, RNA is having ribose sugar. So depending upon the sugar present, there can be two types of nucleosides. So broadly you can call as ribonucleosides and deoxyribonucleosides. These are ribonucleosides and these are deoxyribonucleosides. Adenosine, guanosine, cytidine, uridine, deoxyadenosine, deoxyguanosine, deoxycytidine and deoxythymidine. Okay? Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
So here you can find a picture of nucleoside and also nucleotide. The difference is clear here. Nitrogenous base and pentose sugar. When these both are there, you call it as nucleoside. And when the phosphate group is also added, it becomes nucleotide. So here, if you add a phosphate group, then that will become nucleotide. So that is the difference. When phosphate group is attached to the 5' OH or hydroxyl group of a nucleoside by phosphoester bond or phosphoester linkage, we get a nucleotide. That means phosphate group is attached to, just a minute. Now phosphate group was missing. When this is attached to the nucleoside, that is where it is getting attached to the 5' hydroxyl group of the nucleoside by which bond? Phosphoester bond. Earlier also we learned about another linkage, N-glycosidic linkage. N-glycosidic linkage is connecting the nitrogenous base with the pentose sugar. And here the nucleoside is attached, or the phosphate group is connected or linked to nucleoside by means of phosphoester linkage. We get a nucleotide. Here also, depending upon the sugar present, you can categorize nucleotides into two types: ribonucleotide and deoxyribonucleotides. I'll repeat once again. The nitrogenous base was attached to pentose sugar, or it is attached, nitrogenous base is attached to pentose sugar with the help of the bond N-glycosidic linkage. Whereas here it is connected by phosphoester bond. Okay. Nitrogenous base is attached to pentose sugar by means of N-glycosidic linkage, and at the same time this nucleoside, so what I've circled is only nucleoside, so that is attached to the phosphate group with the help of phosphoester linkage. So you should know the name of these two linkages. So phosphoester linkage and N-glycosidic linkage. N-glycosidic linkage will connect the nitrogen of the nitrogen base to the carbon present in pentose sugar. Similarly, phosphoester bond will connect the phosphate group with the nucleoside. When phosphate group is attached to the 5' hydroxyl of the nucleoside by phosphoester linkage, you get nucleotide. So depending upon the sugar present, we can categorize it into two types: ribonucleotide and deoxyribonucleotides. Nitrogen base plus sugar plus phosphate group, we get nucleotide. Two nucleotides, when two nucleotides are linked together, and here the bond is phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond will connect two nucleotides. So the bond in between the nucleotides you call as phosphodiester, and several such nucleotides are joined together to form polynucleotide. Only if two nucleotides are present, you call it as dinucleotide. When several nucleotides are linked in this manner, it becomes a polynucleotide. So three linkages we learn: N-glycosidic linkage, phosphoester linkage and phosphodiester linkage. Where these linkages are present, you should know. So once again, N-glycosidic linkage will connect the nitrogen of the nitrogen base to the carbon atom of pentose sugar, or the nitrogen base is connected to pentose sugar with the help of N-glycosidic linkage, and the phosphate group is attached to the 5' hydroxyl group of the phosphate group with the help of phosphoester bond. And once nucleotides are formed, two nucleotides, so the linkage in between two nucleotides you call as phosphoester linkage. And if two nucleotides are linked in this manner by phosphoester linkage, you call it as dinucleotide. Only two nucleotides are joined together, and several nucleotides are linked together. So the linkage between two nucleotides will be phosphoester linkage. When they form a chain like this, you call it as polynucleotide. Am I clear to you?
Ma'am, can you repeat this slide?
This part, okay. The N-glycosidic linkage, have you understood, Dandana?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, N-glycosidic linkage is connecting nitrogenous base and pentose sugar. So that is only nucleoside. Now we need to form nucleotide. For forming a nucleotide, we need to attach a phosphate group. And the phosphate group is attached to the nucleoside, where it is getting attached to the 5' hydroxyl group of the nucleoside. It's getting attached with the help of a phosphoester linkage. A phosphoester linkage will connect nucleoside and the phosphate group. So these two, when it combines, you call it as nucleotide. And that is how a nucleotide is formed. Okay. So N-glycosidic linkage, phosphoester linkage. Now, nucleotide has been formed. Now several such nucleotides we need to combine together. Only then it will form polynucleotide. So the bond that is connecting two nucleosides we call as phosphodiester bond. Phosphodiester bond, and in between each nucleotide or else you can say two nucleotides are combined together by means of phosphodiester, and several such nucleotides will be joined together by these linkages, and once they join or they form a chain like this, you can call it as polynucleotide. Okay, Nandana?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, how do we read that point? Two nucleotides are linked through 3 to 5. How do we read them?
I'll check. Through 3 prime, 5 prime, showing the position of the carbon atoms. Two nucleotides. So that linkage is taking place between 3 prime carbon atom of one and 5 prime carbon atom of the other. Prime.
Ma'am, in top there is 5 prime OH.
5 prime. 3 prime, 5 prime. So that shows the position of the carbon atom where the bonding is taking place, between which the bonding will or the linkage will take place. Okay? Stephanie? And what are the 3 linkages that we learned? Donna?
N-glycos
N glycosidic linkage, then
nucleotide.
the bonding we learn, no? 3 types of bonds. N-glycosidic
Polynucleotide.
linkages. Naureen? N-glycosidic linkage, then
Phosphoester linkage and diester bond.
phosphodiester linkage, phosphodiester, and also N-glycosidic linkage. Donna, can you repeat?
Phosphodiester. N-glycosidic linkage.
And one more. Phosphoester, phosphodiester, and N-glycosidic. And N-glycosidic linkage is present where, Rijas? N-glycosidic linkage. It's meant for connecting. Unmute. Rijas.
Pentosugar to nucleotide.
N-glycosidic. N stands for nitrogen.
Nitrogen based
Nitrogen base to
pentosugar.
And Punya, where is the phosphoester bond being used?
Between pentose sugar and phosphate group.
Nucleoside and phosphate group. And phosphodiester linkage, Michael, phosphodiester linkage, it connects to
Phosphate group and
phosphodiester. It's connecting to Steffi?
Nucleotides.
It's connecting two nucleotides. Michael, phosphodiester bond is meant for
2 nucleotides.
linking two nucleotides. Children, be present here when the class is going on. Otherwise, you will find it difficult. Only if you are attentive in the class, when you read the textbook, you'll be able to follow the concepts given there. Agreed? Next period, we will have seminar. And thank you, children. See you next period.
Thank you, ma'am.